someone asked Gemini that how many rocks should I eat in a day? And it was answering that you should have at least one rock in a day. She became an voice of an artificial intelligence system. So it ended up developing an intimate bond with the human.
It was just like somebody sitting beside you with a screen share and giving you suggestions.
Now the Gemini result is the number one result, the top result on Google.
Elon Musk said that I had a fight with Sarji.
If given enough creativity, we can make LLMs do what they are not intended to do. Sam Altman going all out and just tweeting her is something that's hilarious.
Hi everyone, how are you?
Hi guys.
Long time.
Yeah.
We were keeping busy.
And lot has happened since the last time we have met in the world of AI. What are the updates we seem to discuss today? Anmol, Surror, any sort of insights on what is happening?
Recently, there is a lot been happening with OpenAI demo that happened. Then there was Google I/O. In between, of course, there were a lot of releases. There were a lot of noise and a lot of new models, a lot of new things that has happened. Yeah, I guess we'd like to cover up a few things that has excited us. Yeah.
Yeah, and just in latest news, we'll also discuss about the recent incident with the safety issues at OpenAI. And the case that which has gotten a lot of attention with regard to Scarlett Johansson. So where do we start? Well, do you want to start on what things should we start discussing?
Let's start with the Scarlett Johansson case only then.
Okay, so
yeah.
just to give an update to the viewers, basically OpenAI released OpenAI Chat-Gpt 4.0 with a new voice model named Sky. And the voice model, in order to give voice to the model, they had approached Scarlett Johansson a long time ago. As she said no, because her voice, she had also done a similar role as Samantha in a movie Her, where she became an voice of an artificial intelligence system. And it ended up developing an intimate bond with the human. So the idea is that she said no, and then just when the order was supposed to be released, she was approached 2 days ago, 2 days before the launch again, and I mean it was, she of course couldn't get through. I mean she's a big star, so you can't get through her in 2 days. And then the model was released, and the CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman, also tweeted her in reference to the movie. And after which, when people heard the voice, they found it very, very similar to that of the real actress. And then she then ended up, writing to OpenAI, and now, probably they are in a legal case. There has been one recent development, it was yesterday or day before, which I would like to tell both of you. OpenAI claimed that when she asked for the documentation, initially they removed the voices, and now they have also claimed that there was another actress who they had hired to give the voice, but they are not giving the name of the actress. Yeah. So this is another twist they have said. Maybe the actress doesn't exist, but they have come out and tried to play it like that. So what are your first takes on this?
So for I mean Sam Altman going all out and just tweeting her is something that's hilarious. I don't know, like maybe it was just a similar voice to Scarlett Johansson, or maybe just they just trained on her voice. Who knows? Because it's very
maybe
opaque.
Sam Altman was very confident that they would pull up a contract with Scarlett, but she refused, and they had ended up training a lot of things over her voice, and at the last moment it was difficult to change, so they had to do the demo at the last moment, because they also timed the demo very perfectly just before the Google I/O, so the timing was very thought of, right?
Yeah.
And they took the limelight away from all the demos that Google did, like Project Astra, which was very similar to Google 4.0, maybe one notch advanced with the hardware stuff that they did. Yes.
ChatGPT
So
4.0.
I think Sam Altman or OpenAI in general, they were just moving fast, and they just did not give a lot of thought about what will happen in the retrospective.
Let's talk about 4.0. So I think that 4.0 means 4 stands for omni-channel, which means that it can probably have a multimodal sort of a model where the speed of processing is increased, even if the formats of the inputs are different. For example, voice, text, videos. And although at one end, like when 4.0 was presented, I was personally literally blown off because it kind of reduced the latency, the kind of inferences that it was drawing, and even the video feature where you can actually record a video and it can tell you in real time what is happening. And also while you're coding, it can kind of assist you in education and all. So I personally feel that the piece of technology that was created was very impressive. If you take away all the controversies associated with it, let's just spend some time on 4.0. Like, what are your views on those?
So speed-wise, it has really improved, and like the latency is really low. But I'm not too confident on the quality part because so lately even GPT-4 was just so, and there are a lot of theories that OpenAI can control the quality of output. Maybe GPT-5 they would want to launch, and to have that wow effect, they would want the quality of 4 to be reduced. But these are just theories. 4.0 wise, when I used it in a couple of things, like it was okay. It was okay. Like it was not significantly better than GPT-4 that we were already using. And like apart from Llama and Mistral, I think it was okay quality wise, but speed was definitely better. From an API point of view, I don't think we have used it as of now, but maybe in the next week we'll be doing so. So probably we can take that up
Right,
then.
right. Technically, the difference between the 4.0 and the previous models is that previously, if you had to develop a speech kind of a platform where somebody is responding to your voice, it had to go through multiple models, like text to speech, then speech to again text, and then to the end consumer, right? The change that has happened on Google GPT 4.0 is it accepts voice, image, video, and text natively, right? There is no pre-processing that needs to happen for the LLM to actually process the text and then send it back, then reprocess it to voice or video and give it to the end user. So that's a big advancement in terms of the technology that has happened with the GPT 4.0. And similarly, the same thing that Google also demonstrated with Project Astra. So they also launched the native functionality where the AI model natively understands video streams, natively understands audio, and natively understands text as previously it does. So I guess it is moving in a very, like, it's again, it's very moving very fast. But yeah, it also is moving in a space where a lot of possibilities open up. So one of the demo that I was really interested and blown away about was that when GPT 4.0 was run on the desktop and you could just screen share whatever code you're writing. And the GPT 4 was able to just see the code and give you some suggestions or maybe debug it just right on your PC without you copying, pasting something, sending somewhere and getting a response. It was just like somebody sitting beside you with a screen share or doing a pair programming over the internet and giving you suggestions. So that was really an exciting thing, and it is a really good thing for like upcoming developers, people who are under training. They can really utilize it to like amplify their growth and learning.
But the way GPT 4.0 was released, I think it was more to compete with Google than as a real update, because in terms of, like, when I also use GPT 4.0, Like these are all good things. Like it is multimodal. There are few new features and everything. But usability wise, the kind of output it is generating versus the GPT-4 Turbo, there has not been a significant, betterment for me also. Like you still have to, like in terms of quality, we saw a significant increase from GPT 3.5 to 4. But it has not been so. So maybe, this was not in terms of the capability or the performance, but also maybe in terms of features. They increased a few things, and also the way that launch was done and it was timed, the way it was shot, and after that now the controversies that are happening, I think it proves that it was directly competing with Google, and therefore they hurried it. Maybe. Let's also discuss Google AI, OpenAI versus Google as company. Like, what are your opinions on that? And who do you think will win in the short run, long run? Any opinions on that competition that is going on?
So recently, not even recently, like past couple of months, when Google releases any update, even like the Gemini, uh, the video that they
Yep.
released, that the this is what Gemini could do. And when the real product comes out, it's not that wow than the demo video that they release. So it has been happening with Google many a times. Like it has happened repeatedly in the past couple of months. Whereas with OpenAI, again, it's a startup, so they are moving fast. Even though there is both positive and negative PR attached to OpenAI, and a lot of things are happening, a lot of ups and downs are happening. But then probably they are moving like a startup does, even though they have enormous amount of funding and everyone is backing and such. But Google is sort of like it's. I would imagine it's very bureaucratic. It's bigger than a lot of countries even. So there was this one theory that, like, not even a theory, even like if two or multiple teams at Google are targeting the same problem, building a solution to a same problem, Google is so big that all those teams wouldn't even know that there's another team tackling the same problem. So I would imagine that there's a lot of bureaucracy there, and it is hard to move fast, uh, like OpenAI or any other startup. What are your thoughts?
Uh, Also, I feel in the long run, Google, of course, like we were discussing the other day, Google is technologically more advanced, it is robust. So maybe when you are at that level, the onus of innovation comes with a lot of risk. Google has taken those risks. We have seen Google, failing, and Google can afford to fail, and fail more often than a startup, right? So right now, OpenAI is at the forefront of innovation, but right now we are seeing early use cases of AI, even if it is at the cost of safety. The moment something materializes or something becomes a really, really huge business opportunity, I'm sure there are people like Google's and Amazon's and Microsoft's of the world who are just on the sidelines, waiting for the innovator to clear that path and then probably doubling down. Having said that, I'm pretty sure that the research and all is definitely going on their end. Srini, what do you think? And also talk about like the quality of the output that Gemini is creating. Like recently we saw that, there were some very hallucinating outputs. Like I read it today on Reddit that there was a post where someone asked Gemini that how many rocks should I eat in a day? And it was answering that you should have at least one rock in a day. So it was complete case of hallucination, right? And also like someone asked, like, what do I do to make my pizza more cheesy or something? And it said add more glue. So like what is happening in that, and what are your opinions first on Google versus OpenAI, and then the quality of output Gemini
The
is
very
creating?
primary difference that between Google and OpenAI is that OpenAI is the size of one team in Google, right? In totality, one product team would be much bigger in Google than OpenAI in itself, right? So OpenAI can, like, the motivation of working in a startup is totally different when you work in a corporate. So one major difference that I see in things like the one that we just said, where they have picked up some Reddit comment from some guy, and that was like considered an answer to the how to make a pizza more cheesy. So all of those things happen when the team that is working on the product is not totally into it, right? These are small things that you need to take care of. Uh, and technically, this is the problem where the data that you're using for training, that data needs to be sanitized, that data needs to be classified, that data needs to be checked. It may be done in an automated way, it may be done by a human, and Google can afford to do it. Of course, they do not have a problem with manpower, they do not have a problem with compute, they do not have a problem with money, right? But all of these things, even after all of these things, if these things are happening, that somewhere shows that the teams that are working at the lowest level on the product itself, they are not totally aligned with it and they are not totally worried about it. It's because it's a corporate. Google is now a corporate in totality. If you see every day, you see a Instagram video or some software engineer might day at Google. They go into the office, they eat their lunches, they go to the gym, they relax, they do some code and they get off, right? That's not how a startup functions. And a startup, you are totally into it. You're solving a problem, you will go very finely into the problem and solve for it. And there is no scope for error, right? That's something that I think is missing from Google. They might have to like go in and see retrospectively what's going wrong at the lower level, because in terms of if I see overall, Google is much ahead than OpenAI in every aspect. I guess even in if we talk about AI and the research that is being done in AI, Google has the best of the people in their DeepMind team. And I guess a lot of DeepMind people have actually joined and started OpenAI at the first place. One of the researchers, Elon Musk, had to get out of Google to start OpenAI, right? And that's why Elon Musk said that I had a fight with Sarji because of I got their best scientists out of their team for OpenAI. So Google is again very much ahead. Of course, they are having problems with translating those things into products that can be on par with OpenAI at the moment. But I guess in the longer run, I see that Google will, even if it is not the number one, it will not be behind OpenAI in every aspect, because Google actually solves consumer problems. OpenAI is solving for a particular technology. They are moving ahead in terms of that technology, but aligning that technology to solve actual people needs, that's what Google does with their products. For example, Maps, Workspace, all of these things, business-wise, consumer-wise, Google is far, far ahead than OpenAI.
And that's so true, because I think this is the difference between startup and a company, that you are just solving one problem or you are solving one of the problems, right? So for Google, they are solving multiple problems, and one of the focus is area, while OpenAI is just solving that. So I think it is also to do with how startups keep focusing on something in particular. And what?
It's a classic startup versus enterprise game where the enterprise has everything, but the startup has speed and innovation. That's all you will
and focus.
And focus. So that's where you bank upon, and that's where the startups win.
That's how I see it.
Right.
But coming at the issues of, like you briefly pointed out, Ilya was,
No, I was saying from a user point of view, but I don't know. I don't have a solution like this pizza cheese case where someone asked that my cheese is not sticking to my pizza. What do I do? And there was one comment from some anonymous user on Reddit a few years ago where he sarcastically said that use this non-toxic glue or something to make your cheese stick to your pizza. But the unsuspecting average user who uses Google and who genuinely wanted his cheese to stick to the pizza, I don't know how they take it or how serious it is or what repercussions it could have, because now the Gemini result is the number one result, the top result on Google.
Yes.
First it shows that, then it would show any other link. And almost all the people, like even us before GPT came into being, we trusted Google to show us the best results on top, like the top three results were our best choice. And probably if we are looking for quick answers, then we trust Google to, like, then we trust the links that Google is showing us on the top, right? Even there are a lot of memes where people trust Google's links with healthcare
Yep.
questions. What if my baby is doing that? What if I'm having this? So I don't know the repercussions of how Gemini, like how people will take those answers. It could
Yeah,
be
but
very
if Google fucked it up, people will stop trusting their search, which is their bread and butter, right? So,
or the
yeah,
problem is, maybe if they trust their search, then what happens?
Then
yeah.
The bigger question
Yeah,
is
that's true, but
that
no, then, yeah, then.
if they
But,
stop
but
if
Google, or does Google, I think Google is coming out with their own new search engine also, like something like Perplexity. I
yes,
heard
yes.
that or I read it somewhere. But I think more of search using AI will become very critical for Google in the future. What if OpenAI launches its more 100 times more accurate search engine than Google? Like, then what happens, right? So that's again something, as long as it is in the search, it has to be accurate. And yes, the repercussions of what Anmol said is very important. Like, this is common sense that I'm, well, let's say if it was like common fever and what are the remedies I should go for and it recommended or something different that I couldn't make out as a
Yes.
user, then what happens? Like,
Yes.
it's a big issue.
It's also on the consumer to take every result with a hint
Probably
of salt. You can't trust anything at the moment.
But then it would surprise you how many people really have
Yeah,
common
don't.
sense to apply
Yes.
first.
Yes. No, but I think when these issues, and this is a good segue. So the issues of, so this happened because the data that was used in training was not probably data governance, or data was not sanitized, or was the model was trained, there was no rigorous testing done on such results, because this is not a very off-topic sort of a search, right? How to make a pizza more cheesy or something. It's something which might be it's not something which is very offbeat or someone will search it, right? So should rigorous testing be done? And these are the models based on which our normal LLMs and these AI startups, these customer support chatbot, and anything generative AI is being built, right? So how do we trust anything on what are the like, this is Google and it can get away with it. What if this was a small startup which was there for writing blog and being used by a bigger enterprise, let's say like Make My Trip, and they were using it, or a booking.com, and it wrote an article which was actually incorrect because of the API they were using, Gemini or OpenAI at the backend. What happens then? How does the issue of data governance or AI governance get sorted?
Probably the first step is data governance only. Like, your AI model is as good as the data it is trained on.
Yes. Yes.
And then comes everything else, like RAG, or how you're retrieving that information, how you're showing that information and everything. But the first step is what kind of data you are putting in. If it is Reddit data, then probably the answers would come out of Reddit comments only.
Yeah, and just to extend upon what
Yes.
Anmol said, one very important thing is like setting the guardrails, right? Even if you are not doing the
Yes.
even if you're not doing the data governance part, or maybe you're lacking with it,
Because it will
right?
be difficult to do it,
Right.
like at scale humanly. Not
Right,
Yes.
but
with
you
how
can
to
what you can do is you can put guardrails post deployment, so that any answer that your LLM or your AI model does or gives out, that goes through a certain set of rules and filters, so that it's not saying some cuss words to the
lives.
consumer. The answer that is being given, is it really contextual to what has been asked? So like, those sort of guardrails should be developed, and I guess Google is capable enough to doing that, and they should have done it. Or maybe Gemini is not capable enough to just make out that comment was sarcastic, or was it actual a meaningful thing to say, like use glue for sticking the cheese to the pizza. Maybe
Yes.
the LLM thought of that it is really a genuine
Yeah.
reply, and it supplied that. So maybe that's also a thing that we can talk about. Yeah.
But then it's a very
Yes,
hard
yes.
problem to figure out if
Yes.
this answer is correct or not. Like at least for an LLM, for maybe for a human it's not, but for an LLM it would be very hard to figure out if a non-toxic glue with one-eighth
Yes.
of something something is like maybe it is just it's eatable, but a LLM would probably not be able to figure
Exactly.
that out. So even like I agree that guardrails is one thing that every company who's building AI models, even like maybe foundational AI models or fine tuning some AI models or even using RAG, they have to put guardrails into
Hmm.
their models so that the end user does not have a bad experience, or the AI is not able to, like, people are not able to do something from that model which it is not like intentionally made to
Intended.
do,
Right.
because people with LLMs, that's the issue, at least right now, that if given enough creativity, we can make LLMs do what they are not
Hmm.
intended to do.
Yep.
Yes.
They are susceptible to prompt injections and uh, at least like from a jailbreak point of view, GPT-4 was much better and with enhanced security than GPT 3.5. Maybe the next versions, let's say GPT 10, would be very hard to break. But
Yes.
again, as technology evolves, both positive and negative
Right.
connotations also evolve. So
Yes.
the techniques would, because the LLM is evolving, the LLM to jailbreak that foundational LLM would
Exactly.
also
Yes.
evolve. So it's yeah. Mm.
And one more
Yeah.
thing, with to just to add to what Armand is saying, is now with trust on AI models will increase, not decrease over a period of time, I feel. Because if we have a graph like of how many people have adoption is also a function of trust, right? Like no matter we might feel like very odd in now trusting model, but a common person who's using AI in day-to-day life for basic functions is
Hmm.
now already trusting it. So even if the results
Hmm.
are not accurate, like it is on the owners of these companies to make sure these models are trustworthy. And second, yes, broadly speaking, in general search, it might be a very hard problem. But when you make it use case to use case, like tier two use cases of these LLMs,
Hmm.
which companies are selling, then it is impossible to maybe set the guardrails restrict. Now it might come at the cost of innovation. So therefore, the companies at the forefront of innovation
Hmm.
must always have a loophole because they're innovating so fast that, setting guardrails, governance and all kind of becomes a barrier. But the companies who are finally implementing and selling it to enterprises directly as solutions probably will have no choice but to do it because for enterprises, more than if I'm an enterprise, for me, innovation comes
Yep.
second than safety, right? Or reputation, maybe. Like I'll be okay not providing, but if I'm innovating, safety comes, I might be important. That might be the first priority. So even if the companies that are doing, the organizations who are buying these solutions will force them to do it or will not buy the solution until they have done it. That's one thing. Yeah.
Oh, also, regulations play a major role in this. Like
Right.
countries around the world are coming up with regulations. EU AI Act has already been now also passed by the parliament. It will be published and very soon it will be
Hmm.
enforced. And like around the world, guidelines and frameworks are coming up. Countries are collaborating on how they can like monitor AI or just make it trustworthy and responsible. Responsible AI is a huge movement that's happening around the world. A lot of committees, a
Yes.
lot of NGOs and societies are coming up in this regard. So regulations would also play a huge role in monitoring and like in probably paving the path of how innovation is happening. Of course, innovation will always be ahead of regulations because the regulations have a lot of bureaucracy and red tape around it, and innovation doesn't. So it will be a like
Yeah, you can't
there'll
stop
always be,
innovation, but similarly, you can't stop regulations also. So they will catch up,
right,
but they will
right.
be happening. just to give our viewers a brief overview, so there are around 300 plus regulations around the world which have already come up. Starting from the US, there are multiple states coming with multiple laws at federal level. There are frameworks that have been suggested. And in the European Union, like Anmol said, Europe has already tabled and proposed the AI Act, which is there to be enforced in the European Union. The UK is also coming up with its own, including countries in the Asia Pacific are also coming up with their own set of regulations. And the lawmakers are really using this opportunity to also gain confidence of general public who directly are impacted by the magnitude of the risk which AI systems possess if not regulated. So, Surror, what's your take on that? And if you can touch up from a technical point of view, how easy or difficult it will be for companies to adopt and comply with these regulations?
It's a very wide band question, I would say, but there have been suggestions about, and there's a lot of research still going on how to effectively govern AI and build responsible AI, right? And that will go on because the innovation is still happening on the AI side. But there have been frameworks that have been suggested. The key thing that I think I derive from these frameworks and regulation is that because there is no one person who is actually giving the response back to the user or authorizing the output of the LLM that is being sent to the end user, the key thing that is being derived from this framework is to set the responsibilities of the people involved. So you need to define who are the people involved in the overall development of the LLM or the AI model, who are the key stakeholders, who are the legal person, who are the compliance person, who are the developers, and what are their roles and responsibilities in the whole life cycle. That's the key thing that I derive from it. Apart from of course, there is guardrails, evaluations, testing, and post-deployment monitoring. That is all technical part. But this is the thing that I think, because it is important, because when a machine is applying to you and something goes wrong, would you file a legal case on the machine? Because you can't fight with the machine, right? You can't fight with the software. But you have to hold someone responsible who has been working on that system. So that is the chain of thought, I guess, behind these regulations and frameworks. And because we have been studying a lot around this, we have seen that everything needs to be, every process needs to have an owner in the overall development of the model. So most possibly, of course, you cannot be 100% sure of what the AI would do. You can't do 100% test coverage. That is because it's not that Google has not done testing, right? Google would have done testing but there are cases like that you cannot test right now. Maybe in the future you can, but at the moment, 100% test coverage of an LLM or a generative model is not possible. But you can do your best effort. You can show that you have done the right steps, you have taken the right steps, and that's what these policies and regulations actually tell you to do. So that if tomorrow someone files a legal case against Google, Google can go and show to the attorneys that this is what we have done. This is the best research out there. We have adopted it. But if something goes wrong, of course, nobody can do anything about it. And there might be lesser penalties, or maybe they may be able to defend to the customers that we have done the best thing that we can do, and that they will not lose the confidence of the people. So, yeah, that's what my perspective is about these regulations. Yes.
Right now, the bigger companies are losing sleep over this, but probably this effect will also trickle down very soon in the coming years to the mid-size and smaller companies and startups also. So we'll see. Yeah, maybe.
Yes. Well, that's a good note. And we've been studying a lot about AI regulations, and in case the people watching us, in case you guys have anything that you want us to cover or make a more detailed podcast on specifically regulations, please do write it in the comments. Also, if any friends or any person working in Gen AI who might need any sort of help in regulations, do let us know. We'll be happy to talk to them, probably get them on a podcast to see their mindset on how they are tackling AI risks. And I would now over to you to end it. Yeah.
Well, I was saying maybe we can anyway do an episode specifically on safety that we have read upon and that we understand. To put it out there, and because a lot of people don't even know what's happening, a lot of people that we are talking to, they are unaware of any regulations coming out, and we are very surprised that you don't even know that these regulations are out there, and you're building AI models like this is what you're dedicating your life to, and you don't know what you have to adhere to from a legal point of view. So maybe we can anyway cover it and just put it out there, whatever our thoughts are in the next episode. Or
and we might even call a special guest for covering this, someone who is an expert or someone who is from the field to talk about these regulations and these lights. So we might just call them. So in case you guys want to talk about it or listen to that or want to understand it better, please do like, comment, subscribe. Put it in the comments. Tell us on Instagram, on YouTube that you want to listen to AI regulations and the risk potential AI risks have. And we will definitely bring more content on that to you guys. So on that note, let's end the podcast. And it was good chatting, and we'll try to keep it more regular.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Bye.